I'm going to call to order the Ukiah Valley Sanitation District regular meeting of Wednesday, October 8th, 2017 at 6 p.m. Mr. Tate, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Director Marshall. Present. Director McMillan. Vice Chair Page.
Present.
Director Sakowitz. Absent. And Chair Ronco.
Present. Okay, public expression is the second item on the agenda after call to order. The board welcomes participation in the board meetings. Comments shall be limited so that everyone may be heard. This item is limited to matters under the jurisdiction of the board which are not on the posted agenda and items which have not already been considered by the board. The board limits testimony on these matters to not more than 3 minutes per person and not more than 10 minutes for a particular subject at the discretion of the chair of the board. No action will be taken. Individuals wishing to address the board on items on the agenda will be given an opportunity to do so when the item is addressed by the board. The board limits testimony on matters on the agenda to 3 minutes per person and not more than 10 minutes for a particular subject at the discretion of the chair of the board. Anyone wishing to speak must come to the podium and state their name for the record. Public expression is now open.
My name is Don Crawford. I live out north of the high school in the Sanitation District. I'm going to comment on just what is not in the agenda. I wanted to say that I was delighted to hear from Chairman Rocco and the absent Sakowitz that the Sanitation District Board is now the paragon of transparency. I've been to these board meetings before, and I can't say that that's happened all the time in the past, but I look forward to enjoying full transparency by each of you. I want to correct Chairman Rocco on one thing. The Record Request Act, which you indicated on Monday night was a sign of transparency, is just the opposite. The Records Request Act is designed as a remedy for the lack of transparency. I've used it once on this board and was satisfactorily answered just as I asked. Thank you. I'll be back.
Andrea Reed, District Ratepayer. I am hoping to clear up some questions that I have. I know that you don't have to answer questions that I ask, but I'm just curious. I haven't been able to find a current budget for the board. I called earlier this week to try to get a copy of that, and I haven't received it. So I'm just curious if that is publicly available and how I can get a copy of that. Part of what I would like to clear up on that is Monday, from what I've read on Facebook posted by the Sanitation District, the district manager's salary has a cap of $185,000. And on Monday, I was told that that is inaccurate and that it's actually $80,000. And so I'm just curious where the discrepancy comes from and which one is accurate. And again, that would be reported on the budget. So for me, if you guys could answer that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
I have a response to one public comment. I'm allowed according to the Brown Act.
We're going to wait for public expression to end. If there's any members of the
Ukiah Valley Sanitation District budget for fiscal year 13-14, 14-15, 15-16, 16-17, 12-13, 11-12, 10-12 are all posted on our website. All you have to go to is Ukiah Valley Sanitation District. Click in Google, click on our district, and if you look in the gold, it says budgets. You click on that, you click on any budget, even on your phone, and it pops up. Thank you.
Any other members of the public wishing to make a comment? Seeing none come forward, we're going to close the public expression. Mr. Losak, I'm kind of confused. I believe Mr. Tate has a professional services agreement with the board, which has a cap of $185,000. It is not a salary. And that public services agreement embodies services provided to the district, which would include financial engineering, administration, management, ad infinitum. So that is not a salary to Mr. Tate. It is a public services agreement.
It's a professional service agreement, and it is available to the public upon request through Public Records Act. We will be able to provide them a copy of that, anybody who wants it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'm thinking that what Andrea is referring to is during the candidate night, there was a question about it being 80,000. And apparently at the meeting, it was also addressed that the person reading the question read whatever was written, not what is accurate. So whoever wrote the question wrote the 80,000. She either forgot to put the 1 in front of it or something, but it's a number that just came off of that written off sheet.
That's what the clarification I was looking for, I appreciate it.
Okay, we are going to move forward with the consent calendar. The consent calendar portion of the agenda contains items of district business that are considered routine and non-controversial. The board will take action on the consent calendar items with one motion without discussion unless the director of the board requests that an item be removed from the consent calendar for discussion and individual consideration. Any members wishing to have a matter moved? Any member of the public wishing to have a consent calendar item discussed?
I would. You can distribute this yourself.
You have to tell us what item you want to have discussed, and we will pull that item for public discussion after we've done the consent calendar.
Okay, it doesn't have a designation. I guess it's B, the one about the check log.
You wish to have the check detailed, or the check register pulled from consent?
I wish to discuss the check register. Otherwise, I would have done it on open expression.
Mr. Losak, I'm at a loss as to undertake whatever action he evidently wants to have the check details pulled from the consent calendar.
Board wishes to have it pulled from the consent calendar, the board can pull it and adopt the consent calendar without it, and then discuss the check detail, the check register.
Up to the board.
I'm at a loss. He wants to remove a check detail? I'm not getting this. Because
Discuss.
oh, he wants to discuss it?
Yes, that's what I said.
So we vote not to approve the check register. We vote to remove it from the consent calendar, then we approve the consent calendar, and then the check register discussion and approval becomes item number 4, and everything gets pushed up a number. And that way, we leave it to public comment on that item. So I'll move to remove check register from the consent calendar to be discussed after in the agenda, so that we can hear what he has to say. Is there a second?
Second.
Are you the chairman? I'll ask for a second.
Okay.
You have a motion and a second.
Question? Maybe for Mr. Crawford. Is it this document that you want to discuss, or is it the check register from the agenda you want?
What I'm interested in is exploring, once again, transparency here. There's a full check log written from the auditor's office at your approval that is never in any of the transparent minutes of any meeting. I refer to the health and safety
Section.
section and also the fiduciary responsibility
That's what I
section.
was asking. Is it two different? Correct me if I'm wrong. It's the document you've given the board is a different document than the document in the agenda.
It's a check log
Okay.
that is paid for in the name of the sanitation district.
So it's a
It
different,
may
it's
not
not
be-
this.
Well, right, and I was trying to focus on your document, not the document in here that may not need to be.
I have a question relating to that, but
That's why I asked Doug.
I mean, it's, yeah, what he's bringing forward is not what's on the calendar for approval. What his issue is with is a different set of checks written out of an account that's held by the county on behalf of the district. And it has nothing to do with the
well
profit
then I-
loss.
Now I begin to understand.
I withdraw my motion.
well, then I got a bad advice from the chairman when I walked in the door, so. I'd
You
like-
asked for an agenda and you wanted to talk about that. I did
You
not
really
tell you
want-
we were going to discuss
You
this,
really want to
Mr.
argue
Crawford.
with me about this?
Jim, so do you understand what his request is?
I evidently did not. He did not provide this to us. He wanted to look at our check register. We brought him the agenda, which he said he did not have. That's what we gave him. You're asking for something that is not part of this agenda.
How does the public,
Wait, no,
okay,
my turn.
sure.
Can we revert back to public expression in order that he may have his say on this topic?
It's up
do
to-
that?
That's up to the board. I don't see any problem with going back and letting him have his public expression since he thought he would be able to address the issue
Sure,
at this
it
point.
was just a mistake.
And so, yeah, if you want to go back to the public expression, I don't see any reason the board can't allow that to happen.
Mr. Chairman, I'm requesting that.
Do we?
Excuse me, are we going to withdraw your motion?
I already did.
And is the maker of the second going to withdraw the motion?
I can't remember what was, I had wrong.
It was you.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
And I-
What we're going to do is we're going to vote on the consent calendar. Then we will go back and we will open public expression for matters not on the agenda.
Thank you very much. That's very thoughtful.
Okay. So, do we have a motion for the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay, now we are going to open public expression again, 3 minutes.
Okay, if you care to look at this, I didn't want to read it, but I can. The California Health and Safety Code, section 6794 is one that you're guided by. In it, it very clearly says that when there's money to be paid out of the district, the order shall specify the name of the person to whom the money is to be paid, the fund from which it's to be paid, and shall state generally the purpose for the payment which is to be made. The order shall be entered in the minutes of the board. It can't get clearer than that. So I've looked back at all the minutes of going back to 2012 when you paid your attorney whatever amounts are on that log. You have not once entered that in the minutes of your meeting when you approve these payments, and I assume that you approve these payments before the auditor writes them. It's also a fiduciary responsibility that a person acting in a fiduciary capacity is held to a high standard of honesty and full disclosure in regard to the client. Without disclosing these payments, you are failing your fiduciary responsibility. In addition, that would include some payments for last month, for sizable amounts of money that the checks have already been written, you've approved them. There is no transparency in your minutes whatsoever. It's not on the agenda. And the last thing is, I want to know who's paying the media company that you've hired, because you are in danger. If you're paying it out of our funds, you are in direct danger of corruption. It's against the law to use public funds to buy an ad that is politically slanted to sway the public. So those are my comments on item 3, or excuse me, on item 2. Thank you.
Okay. We close the public expression and move on to now item number 4, approval of the board minutes, the meetings of September 21st, October 5th, and October 11th. Any board member having any questions, comments, grammatical corrections?
I actually did have a couple that I wanted to mention. And by the way, I did want to emphasize that Joe, since he was hired on, has been going through all the old bookwork. This is just another example of him going through and trying to clarify some things. There's been some question as to why these contracts are coming up, and my impression has always been that Joe is just doing some house cleaning, trying to get these things straightened out. Here's another example, just trying to straighten out some of these meetings. On September 22nd, it talks about Mr. Howard asking for some documents. Do you know if he received them or not?
He did.
Okay, great, good. That was one question I had.
He was a little late in picking them up, but we had them ready the next morning.
Okay. Oh, and I really liked, because I know it came up at the candidate night about this CPA, and it does show that there was an attempt, we are attempting to acquire a CPA. Am I right on that, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That was one of the requests I made to the board in my first or second month here. You all have granted me that, but until we get data from the current data holder,
correct.
there's nothing to give that I can verify to the CPA.
That's
So
true.
that's why I haven't proceeded yet.
At the candidate night, it came up as if it was a,
We're trying to approve the minutes.
isn't this what we got here?
Yes, but we're usually grammatical. We don't necessarily discuss the minutes. We already had the meeting.
The last thing that I do want to make a correction on is that I think here on October 11th, it has a quote by Teresa, says God, country, family, but I believe what she said was God, family, country.
Yes, my family comes
Yes,
and
second.
And that's why I think she made a
Comes
mistake.
before these board meetings, thank you.
I think that's why she made a mistake.
Can we make that correction? That's what I heard as well.
Thank you.
Okay,
We will so do so.
Make a motion to approve
Don't
the
print that
minutes with the correction as stated by Victor Marshall. I say, do we have a motion?
yeah, so moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed district vehicle use policy. Per board's direction, district staff is in the process of securing a district vehicle. Mr. Tate, would you like to bring us up to date?
This is a standard vehicle usage policy used by other public municipalities. I've used it with other municipalities, so I've tailored it for the district use. It basically tells the general manager and the employees what they can and can't do, and what they're required to do in the event of a violation or an accident, which gets reported back to the board. So that's why this policy is being brought forward, because the district does not have one right now.
Board member having any questions regarding the vehicle usage policy?
Yeah, I know that, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in order to drive from my daughter's school, I need more than the minimum insurance coverage. I need like 1 million, 3 million, I want to say.
Depends on the public agency who requests what the law is.
Yeah, so I think the California minimum wouldn't be enough because we have lots of uninsured drivers. Yes. And we need to cover our employees with they need to have the proper insurance.
Right, but I believe the district would have its own insurance policy. It's just a requirement for the insured for the driver to also have their insurance. It would be on top of
So liability?
it. Yes.
In other words, we're not gonna have a driver of one of our vehicles that is not licensed and insured.
No, I'm just saying, I think it should be.
Correct, but the district would have its own auto insurance policy for its own vehicle, on top of whatever the driver has.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So whether you want to call it an umbrella or whatever, that's what it would be.
Gotcha, okay, thank you.
Right, it's just an additional coverage in case, but it just makes sure that the person who's driving has it. It's not like your example of driving for a school where the school doesn't cover you, you cover yourself, and they want to have a higher limit.
Mhm.
It makes a lot of sense.
Any other questions, comments regarding the policy? Any member of the public wishing to make a comment about the vehicle usage policy?
Tom Crawford, ratepayer. This is just a real quick one. I would think that any driver would want to protect themselves in case it were determined that they were directly at fault and that the district somehow tries to absolve itself of liability. So if I'm driving a truck and I blow through a stop sign and go 40 miles an hour through a school zone and I hit somebody and injure them, I would want to make sure as the driver of the vehicle that the district or the board is not going to abandon me of their coverage. That's all. It's just something that popped up. Thank you.
Any other members of the public wishing to make a comment? Seeing none, we'll close the public expression. Any further comment by the board? I believe that this vehicle usage policy is one that would be used and has been used in general practice. I would also still understand.
Well, I think, once again, it kind of goes back to the house cleaning concept that Joe's bringing this up because we may have something, but he's just really trying to clarify it. And as he begins to get the sanitation district's books in order, this is just another thing that needs to be addressed.
We don't have a vehicle for policy, so.
No, it goes back to Doug's comment of the district may have umbrella insurance, but we want to make sure the driver has their own insurance at the same time.
And obeys the law
So
while driving our vehicle.
That's why I'm bringing it before the board because one, we don't have a policy, and two, it covers us not just for the district but for the driver.
Okay.
So.
Mr. Page? I'm sure would entertain a motion for adoption of the vehicle usage policy.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries. Okay, number 6, discussion of possible action regarding proposed credit card policy. Mr. Tate?
Same intent, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is a standard policy I've used in other districts. Currently, we do not have district credit cards, so basically, as you all know, I'm paying for everything and you're reimbursing me. District has, to my knowledge, Mr. Walsack, never had district credit cards.
None to my knowledge, and the chair may actually have a better
Never had a credit card.
And so rather than having an employee use their personal card to access the bank, gotten a little old after 3 months. So before we issue any district credit cards to me or to Chelsea for buying materials and supplies, we have to have a policy. So that's why I'm bringing this to the.
Frank have some sort of credit card?
No,
Never had.
I asked Frank, he did not.
Mr. Losack, do you have any issue with the credit card policy?
No, I've reviewed it and it seems to be fine from a legal standpoint.
And from a practical standpoint.
But it's just a cleaner way, in my opinion, from a fiduciary role to have this listed on district, as a district activity rather than a personal one that I have to continue to expenses. Doug knows, turning in expenses because it's my personal card. It really should be a district card.
Well, I agree there. and the frustration of not being able to have a credit card.
Yeah, just clean up, just bring another item, clean up, as Director Marshall said.
Any members of the public wishing to make a comment?
I'm gonna hit every item tonight. Well, I'm trying to be positive, really. Anytime you read about, Don Crawford, ratepayer. Anytime you read about anything that goes haywire in a district throughout the state or probably the country, oftentimes credit card usage comes up. I haven't reviewed the policy, but it's always a matter of a person's integrity. Sometimes they get used for things that somehow aren't defined by company business. I would just make sure that it's tightly written, and I would also request as a part of the general ratepayers that the charges be somehow indicated on some kind of disclosure to the common ratepayer, so that we have an idea what Joe's using with money that you're using to pay his card with. That's all. Thank you.
Any members of the public?
Yeah, unless somebody else does.
I'm going to close public expression. Mr. Tate?
Yes, just to respond or to mention to the board that it would become part of the check register as the ones are now, except they wouldn't have my name on it. They have the district's credit card on it, so it's really an administrative change for me.
Any further discussion? Chair would entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number,
No, we're not.
oh, sorry. I move to approve the credit card policy.
A motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Going to go to item number 7, discussion and possible action regarding the designation of the general manager and district chair signature authority to withdraw funds on deposit in district bank accounts with Bank of America and Savings Bank of Mendocino County. Both banks require documentation from the district that authorize the named individuals to have designated statutory authority over the district's bank accounts. Mr. Tate?
Yeah, I'm going to speak briefly on it and turn it over to Mr. Rosak, who actually wrote the resolution. But as you know, Bank of America is closing on November 7th. It required the district to start the process of moving to another bank, which became Savings Bank. Teresa, I believe, you went in today and finalized that. So we have now got 3 signatures on the account. Chairman, Chair of the Finance Committee, and myself that can go in and perform banking activities on behalf of the district. Bank of America will eventually go away when we transfer those EDD and IRS monthly withdrawals to Savings Bank, which will happen in the next 3 weeks, Chelsea, probably. Bank of America will go away. Savings Bank will be our only day-to-day checking bank. And so we've added the names per the previous resolution, just updated it, as Director Marshall said, this is just another updating item.
Actually, I think it's a great item. I mean, because prior to this, we were with B of A, and as we move forward in this, we've decided that Savings Bank of Mendocino would give us more advantages. And so not only is it just updating the books, but it's making a better decision, in my opinion.
That's correct. Both Chairman Ronco and I and others witnessed firsthand the difficulty just dealing with B of A when we tried to get account information, let alone moving it. So we tried a few times and then finally got to the point where we just...
And this Savings Bank not only is more accessible, more community friendly, but weren't they even more favorable in the terms that they are?
They were more favorable. Some of the other banks that had just gone through mergers were still working some things out, so that's how we focused on Savings Bank.
Yeah.
They also have their own investment folks, So if the district board should at some time decide to take over investment, practices versus what's happening now, where we park it at the county and it's kind of there, then that's an opportunity for the board.
Yep, good decision.
And I think Mr. Tate really hit it on the head. Just a simple matter of going in and attempting to change the signature on the B of A account because of Mr. McMichael's departure was 3 trips, all fruitful. Fruitless. I mean, it was just, and the beauty of this is B of A is leaving the community, so, it was probably time. So, any member of the public wishing to make a comment?
Yeah, Kyle's not going off. Don Crawford again. Is this a change in check writing policy, or is it just the bank? In other words, does it take 2 people to sign a check, or is it always been that just one person can sign a check in the name of the district without board input? Which is it? Is it double signatures?
I can answer that. When I got here, the practice prior to my getting here was that the district manager signed everything.
Without a cosign?
Without a cosign. And so he made a protocol change where Chairman Ronco would sign certain checks that I felt more comfortable by the chairman of the board signing rather than the general manager. And in fact, I had not signed a check, Chelsea, until today.
Yeah.
So the change was the general manager's authority, which came before the board at the last meeting, capped my limit at a certain amount. So over that, I would continue to go to Chairman Ronco, or in his absence, Director McNerlin. But I'm capped at that amount, and everything under that, more administrative day-to-day, I would be able to sign.
Paper clips.
So that's why the change.
Okay, so it just troubles me a little bit that a single signature without any approval by directors can write a check on the district. I mean, I don't know where the oversight is there.
But you do understand that's not the case any longer. It's 2. I mean, 2 or?
No, it's 1 to a limit. And then once it reaches that limit, it has to go to the chairman of the board or the...
It's not dissimilar to what the city of Ukiah allows the city manager to do.
So it's a pretty standard practice, as long as I felt there needed to be a cap on the general manager's authority. I didn't think it was just freewheeling and do whatever they want, so that's why I opposed it.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Losak.
One thing I just want to comment is that all these checks will come before the board after the fact, and the check registry that's approved every month by the district board. The other thing is the resolution really is focused on the requirements of the 2 banks, that there be a resolution approved by the board allowing 2 people to have signature authority, and that's what this is doing.
And one additional item to add to Mr. Losak is there is a requirement, or maybe Chairman Ronco or Doug, you can correct me, it may not be a requirement, but it's a practice that large checks right now go to a disbursement voucher. And then that goes to Chairman Ronco for approval.
Correct. And that's through the county.
Finance chairman.
Or that's through the county.
Right. So anyways, there is that other step that I couldn't just walk in and do what I wanted to do above my authority.
No, the majority of the district's money is held in the county right now, held by the Mendocino County.
And that requires a disbursement voucher.
Correct.
By the chair, taken to the chairman for his signature, not the general manager.
Okay, I just wanted to express my reservation about unilateral expenditures.
Close the public expression.
One more.
Andrea Reed, district ratepayer. I would like to make a recommendation to the board to add having 2 signers per check, just to clear up any things that might come up in the future. I think that it will alleviate concerns from the ratepayers. And I'm also curious where the ratepayers can obtain copies of The check register? Is that open to the public?
All of
It's
this,
in the agenda.
all this is public.
Okay, the agenda that I pulled up online, it doesn't have that in it, so I was just curious.
This is the agenda package which is available.
Okay, perfect, that's what I'm asking, is where
Yes.
that's available.
Yep.
And then I also pulled up the budget online, which I thank you for showing me where that is, which is where I pulled up last year's budget, the 16-17. So I guess what I'm looking for is 17-18, which should have been adopted this summer. Am I incorrect on saying that?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you.
Closed public expression. Mr. Losak?
Just one comment, as far as this resolution, it doesn't have anything to do with requiring 1 or 2 signatures. This is simply giving authority to, showing the bank that these individuals have authority, designated signature authority for the particular accounts.
Okay. So, if we're going to have a motion to approve this resolution, I believe Mr. Losak, you will need to read the resolution into the record.
Resolution number 2017-03, resolution of the Ukiah Valley Sanitation District providing Chairman Ronco and General Manager Joseph E. Tate designated signature authority to withdraw funds on deposit in the district's bank account with Bank of America and Savings Bank of Mendocino County. Whereas the Ukiah Valley District Board of Directors, District Board, had previously approved the establishment of bank accounts with Bank of America and Savings Bank of Mendocino County, and whereas the District Board has approved the closing of the account with Bank of America and a transfer of all funds therein to an account with the Savings Bank of Mendocino, and whereas in order to transfer said funds and in order to comply with the Savings Bank of Mendocino County requirements for signature authority, the board must designate the individuals who will have signature authority over both accounts. Now therefore be resolved, the district board authorizes Chairman James Ronco and General Manager Joseph E. Tate to have designated signature authority to the district's bank accounts with Bank of America and Savings Bank of Mendocino.
I make a motion that we pass the resolution 2017-03 as read by Mr. Losak.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Tate, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Director McMillan?
Aye.
Director Marshall?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Page?
Aye.
Director Sakowitz is absent. Chairman Ronco?
Aye. Motion is carried 4-0. And we will insert the proper parties into the motion. Okay. Move on to item number 8. Announcements, other business matters from staff. General Manager's report, Mr. Tate.
Yes, several items just to update the board. Been working with the engineers at Hydroscience to complete the design work for the dedicated crossing conduit on North State Street to Ackerman Bridge. As you know, that project sat dormant for, I don't know how long, Director or Chairman?
4 or 5 years.
So I don't know how long that sat, but it was years. And then it was all of a sudden, hurry up and get it done from the county. So the engineers have kind of restarted the design work based on an opportunity to feed that area with gravity flow rather than a pump station. I understand at one time a pump station was the preferred choice, given the engineers that directive, but that's when everything went on hold, and now we're back to I think a more cost-effective and efficient operation with gravity flow rather than using power through a pump station there. We'll still have the conduit sleeve put into the bridge in the event that's what we want to do at some point, but right now we won't have to be engaged with a pump station to get that service.
There's not enough flow to do the pump station anyway.
Correct, and that's why I've changed the process and saved us quite a bit of money there. So anyways, that's over in the vicinity of Dunwood Winery, if everybody knows where that is.
Remember, 10 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, we had to hurry up and get everything everything in place because they were gonna pave the street.
Right,
And, they were gonna then do
Yeah.
the bridge.
hurry up and wait.
That's what happened. Continued with billing corrections. I think Chelsea, I counted this evening about 6 of them you've done this week with the city on behalf of ratepayers. And about 6 corrections to bills this week and getting caught up with ratepayers delinquent accounts. So I think Director Marshall was in the office today when we did one of those. So, Chelsea continues to do a very good job with managing and helping the customers. We continue to discuss and meet with the property owners of 1550 South State, which is 3 lots of commercial. Y'all know it's a 101 market area right now, and the 2 lots next to it where it used to be the old water trough and then a vacant lot on the corner. That's now being redesignated from 2 lots to 3 with the advent of a service station included with the 101 market to the lot just to the south. The lot next to that one is going to be developed into something that's unknown at this time, and the corner lot is proposed to be a fast food restaurant, which I have not been given the name of. So that's in process right now, being circulated through the county and the same district for review of plans and documents. I haven't seen anything as of today. We, as Director Marshall brought up earlier, we processed 1 public records request. I believe Andrea put a public records request in earlier this week.
Monday morning.
Monday, so we're working on that one. Mr. White with the city was kind enough to give me an update on a bar screen project from at the treatment plant for the city, and I'll just read this. The project is currently under construction. The concrete has been cut and lined. The mounting pad has been completed. I believe the contractor, which is Fort Bragg Electric, is waiting for the manufacturer to come and assist with the assembly. So that's an update. That's an update.
What is that, 3 years later, on that urgent matter?
The manufacturer coming from France?
France?
I don't know the answer.
That was,
But actually,
that had to be manufactured in France.
Yeah, but we did, remember, we got a really high bid on that one, and we sent it back, got a rebid on it.
I wasn't around for all that fun, but.
Oh, it was quite urgent several years ago.
Okay, so
We
that's.
haven't lost a pump.
Yeah, like they said we would.
Yeah.
And then, just as a follow-up, I attended the candidate forum on Monday night, which I found quite entertaining. That's my report, Mr. Chairman. We haven't received any specific letters. Last month, I think we received one that was just a request for help cleaning up some delinquent bills. So that's all that was.
All right, well, that moves us in now to item number 9, which is closed session. So we'll move to closed session.
Yep.
Okay, we are going to come out of closed session at 7:08 p.m. and we have nothing to report. We're going to adjourn the meeting at 7:08.